Today, I am excited to share a quick and user-friendly tutorial on fixing and recovering an overexposed picture using the incredible AI tools of Luminar Neo. Overexposed images can be quite troublesome, resulting in lost details and an unappealing appearance. However, fear not. With Luminar Neo, we can work some magic and transform that overexposed mess into a stunning masterpiece. So, without any further ado, let's get straight to the point. Okay, here's the photograph. This photo is a raw file. Remember, always shoot raw. Because if you shoot raw, you have more information, more detail, more data so you can use to recover. And it's the best way to fix a photograph is to have the file in raw. Because if you use JPEG, you might be able to fix it depending on the case. But most of the cases, right, you require to have a raw file, especially when you want to recover or fix from an overexposed or to recover from an underexposed picture. So you see the details of this photograph here. It was shot with a Canon EOS 5D ISO 100 85mm lens at 1.8 and 1/500 of a second. So let me switch now to edit. Okay, so my approach to fixing overexposed, just to tackle the problem. The problem is that we don't have contrast, highlights are blown up, and also there's no detail. So the image is so flat. And in this case, this is not an extreme case, but it's not that appealing. To me, everything is washed out, and I will try to do my best here to show you guys how to fix it. So the first thing I will do is just my regular workflow is to go to the Develop Raw module and select the profile and try to use a white balance that will fit the scene, and maybe I will play with some small contrast. So the first thing is just to go here to Develop Raw. Under the camera profile, I will check the different profiles to see that bluish type of tone that is appearing and over the dress or the blanket. So I will use camera standard in this case, right? And since this photo was shot outdoors, I will using the white balance as daylight. I can also click on this eye dropper and try to click on one of these areas to see what happens. And I think it's okay. If I switch from daylight to this one, is pretty much the same. So I will leave it there. And maybe I'll apply some smart contrast over here just to recover some of the contrast. Okay, good. Now, next step, simple step, is just to, over here under the light, again, reduce the exposure a touch. I will do around there. So now we have so far transformed these photos from here. You see the difference? This is the overexposed one. This is corrected, initial corrections we did. I think it's okay. Okay. So now, I think one of the things that will set or change the mood of this photograph is to replace or to put a sky there, because this is all blown up. It's all white. So if we put a sky in here, I think the entire mood and projection of this photograph will change. So I will use my regular sky replacement AI tool of Luminar Neo with no science, and I will just click on that part, select on sky, and let the artificial intelligence detect everything and do the heavy lifting for me. So I will click on Sky AI and select the sky that probably will match the scene. I think this one over here is okay. I will click on this one and see what happened. Okay, good. A couple of things I need to fix in here. First of all, I need to fix the focus of the sky. You see, these areas over here are out of focus, so I will need to match the focal distance that this thing was shot. So because you will not It's not normal to have this area over here out of focus and then you have the entire sky completely in focus. That makes no sense. So to fix that, I will go to the sky adjustments, and there's a slider here that says defocus. So I will click on defocus and move that. We try 100. I think 100 is pretty much okay. At least if I take into account this area. Maybe I would reduce it around maybe 90. Okay, 90 is fine. The brightness I think is okay. Warmth, I think a little bit warmer will be okay. So that's fine with that part. Let me now go to the scene relighting and let me crank that up. This slider is adding the overall tone of the sky to the entire picture. And that's a good thing to do because you want the colors to match, all the picture to be the same. So I will always play with relight strength. I think there is okay. Now, good so far. Another problem I see here is that artificial intelligence did a great job in masking out everything, but I think over here it missed something. You see, if I go to, if I, filter the sky, it seems that there's something darker in there and is thinking that that's part of the subject and is leaving that part out. So that's a mask error, maybe, yeah, but I think that before fighting with masks, I would do something easier here. I can do two different things. The first one I can try is just to erase, use the erase tool and try to fix all this area using the erase AI tool. And the other thing is to use the clone tool, right? So let me try both. The first one is the erase tool. I will click and select, right? Size 20 is fine. And I want to select the areas over here that I want to fix. Let me try this areas first and then click on erase. It's erasing, it's calculating, AI stuff doing, I think it's okay. I think it did a great job. You see, this is the before. Oh, it's not showing the before. The before here, the after. Before, after. Maybe it took too much of the hair. Maybe it was my fault. But I can always go back. Oops. Then we go to edit. Reset the tool. Do it again. Now we'll do it in here. I will be more careful this time and select only the part that I want to be erased. In this case, it's this one here. So I will click on erase again. Boom. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. You see? If I click here before, you see is appearing that white stuff there. So this one is good. Okay. Now we have replaced the sky and also corrected some color stuff here. You see the picture is really nice. Now let me go to the develop mode again, and over here I will crank exposure a touch, maybe 40. It's okay. Now smart contrast, good. I will now add a vignette. Go to vignette. There, 60. 5960 is okay to check. And I will change the size to 96. So remember I said at the beginning that overexposed photograph, what it shows is lack of contrast. So it will make sense for us to use a professional AI tool that is included in Luminar Neo that is called Super Contrast. And the Super Contrast will let you control the contrast or add, remove, or change the contrast in the three different areas, highlights, midtones, and shadows of this photograph. And it's evident that in this photo, I will use or touch or move the highlights, contrast, and the midtones. So I will increase the contrast here in the highlights. Okay, check this out. You see how the highlights are now more crisp, it's creating more depth into the photograph. Now let me now use the midtones here, not too much. Okay, I think that is fine, and check this out. See the depth, just the contrast is creating in this photograph. So I will not do shadows. I think shadows are okay. If I were to play with the shadows, it will kind of remove the contrast. And I want that contrast to be around the grass. So, okay, now I'm done with super contrast. Let me know what you think. I think it's okay. But I will do something else, right? I will now switch to develop. Okay. Reduce exposure a touch. Good. And then I will use my good friend Dutch and burn, and I will apply some Dutch and burning to the hair and this area of her face. So the strength is 9, lighten 50, also okay. I will start painting these highlights over here, and see, yes, over here. I would do it fast for the tutorial's sake, but you take your time. Remember, if you have seen my other tutorials, the portrait tutorials that I create that dreamy look, this is one common practice I use. I start painting or adding dodging these areas, these highlight areas of the photograph, just to enhance them more and create a more interesting look. You see now, just by enhancing the highlights of this, I think this is a blanket, not a dress, right? Of this blanket, we are creating more depth into that dress look. And the overall picture you see here, let me add here, a little bit here. I think it's nice. Now, I will do the opposite now. I will switch to darken. Strength 9 is fine, but I will do 10 here. And now with the dark areas or the shadows, this will add definitely depth to the photograph. So we move here. To move the photograph this way, I'm just pressing the space bar on my keyboard, and with the left mouse click, I drag the picture when I want it. So I will enhance this shadows here and the creases. I'm taking a longer time. Okay, taking more time, because the point I want to make clear here is that when you take time with these details, you transform the photograph into something different. So let me check here. Okay, I like it the way it is. Okay, good. Done with Dutch and burn. So next thing, I don't like that bluish type of tone that the blanket has, and that maybe happens because of the overall overexposed, photograph. But the way I will go about in fixing this is that I will use the color module here and play with the blue part, the blue channel, and try to reduce this or change the color, put it white, right? And that's the beauty of working with raw files, because with raw files, you have enough data to, pixel data to work on. So we'll now move to the color section. And over here, I have the HSL part. Over here, I will select the saturation, right? And I'm looking at the dress at the blue color, and I will start desaturating that color, all right? And also, it is desaturating the sky, but I will take care of that later on. So Now I will switch to luminance and brighten up or provide more light. All right. So you see now, if I go from here, now it's kind of matching more the same. It's not blue. I lost it. So I will go back to edits. Okay. Now, if I want to return the color, to the sky, the best thing to do is just to switch to masking, select the brush, paint 100% strength, and only paint where I want that effect to be. I'm not that concerned about her arms and the leg because I don't see any blue information in there. All right. So there you have it. Now we have the blue back here on the sky, but the dress is white. If you find it too much, you can always go back to the adjustment over here to the HSL where I changed the saturation, and you can saturate it back. Okay. Like that. Maybe it's your liking. I like it the way it is, like this, because I think it absorbs some of the overall scene color. Okay. Now, one more thing I will try here, and this is not a mandatory step, but since I have the tool and I think this tool does a tremendous job, is I will use the Super Sharp AI. This tool has, the ability not to only sharpen, to do artificial intelligence sharpening. It's not the simple sharpening, it just analyzes the entire photograph and applies sharpening to where it needed. But it also has a face enhancer, and that face enhancer kind of mixes everything, the face light, skin smoothing, removing artifacts, and things of that nature. So I will try that Super Sharp AI here to see what it does. And if I like what it does, I will leave it the way it is. And I will encourage you guys to do it the same way. So we click on Super Sharp AI, leave the universal one, take on the face enhancer AI, click on low, and then see what happens. Okay, the tool is finished, and I think it did great. Look, to sharpen the hair, corrected a little bit hair expression. I like it. I will leave it the way it is because I think the photograph is really, really interesting. All right. Okay, now we have transformed this photograph. Check this out. From here to here. Don't you like it? I think it's really amazing what we can do with a couple of clicks. I have taken my time trying to explain you, but these are things that you can do really fast if you have a defined workflow. So review what we have done. We started by fixing the overall tone of the photograph. Bringing back those shadows, reducing the highlights, using the contrast, exposure, and selecting the profile. Then after that, we decided to replace the sky just to create a different mode, and then start tweaking the contrast using the develop and the smart the super contrast tool just to create that contrast depth in the photograph. And then at the end, I added some vignettes and did some dodge and burning to enhance some features of the photograph, especially the model. And then at the end, I applied the Super Sharp AI just to get that final touch and have this portrait really recovered. So guys, there you have it. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? If this is something you will do with overexposed pictures. And if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the like, thumbs up, and the bell if you want to get informed every time I upload new content. So guys, until next straight to the point tutorials, God bless you all. Bye bye.